Often. Okay, we are live as live can get, coast to border to border on iHeartRadio today, zooming away on the Zoom with Frank Fernuccio. We're also going to be joined by Dan Perkins here in just a few as well. And we, of course, have IQ Al Rizzoli. And we have got a guest at the bottom of the hour. Hopefully, they actually show up. But, Frank, there is a lot going on in the news. I know that there used to be a thing in the newspaper business called a slow news day.
I
Uh,
don't remember that ever happening in the past decade or two.
exactly. So, you, I, you have had quite the last month or so. Well, the world has had quite the last month. Um, Give me your take on this Iran situation, and then we're going to get IQ's view on it as well.
If you recall, those of you old enough to recall, the period around the end of the Soviet Union, with the crumbling of the Iron Curtain, the world changed dramatically at that point. We
Yeah,
are at exactly a duplicate of that in terms of world events. Between the United States returning to its position as a nation that could exert influence around the world, to the crumbling of the lies that kept illicit regimes in power from Venezuela to Iran, and who knows, maybe Russia itself. We are seeing the left wing dream and the Islamic extremist dream starting to crumble. We know, of course, that they could not have gone on. It was regimes built on lies, built on the power of the gun as opposed to the power of reality. But it's becoming exposed now. Indeed, when you look at the crumbling of Venezuela's economy, when you look at the disgust the people of Iran have had for their rulers, you begin to see how the world has changed almost inevitably, but to the point where it needed a push. And clearly, what was done in Venezuela by the Trump administration, what was done in Iran by the courageous people of Iran, it's showing how things have changed, changing starting rapidly. Now, if you look at Iran in particular, 85% of the population of Iran was Western friendly, was basically open to Western standards. Let's go back to just before the fall of the Shah. And you had a nation that was basically modern, basically attuned to Western values. But of course, the takeover by the Islamic extremists changed all that, changed it pretty much in a heartbeat. At the time, a clueless administration in Washington, led by Jimmy Carter, just said, okay, it's yours for the taking, take it. What followed was horrible. But one of the fascinating things, James, is the reaction of the American media. What's going on in Iran right now is a situation where Western values, particularly when it comes to women's rights, is at the forefront. And yet the Western folk, the Western liberals at universities and in government have said, well, those are Western values, doesn't apply. But 85% of the people in Iran will disagree with you on that one. And certainly the women's rights movements in the United States show their true colors. They have nothing to do with rights of women internationally. They have all to do with being, and I say this realizing the reaction it's going to get, most of the women's groups in the United States were nothing more than fundraising fronts for the Democratic Party, and they couldn't give a damn about the rights of women or minorities or anything else. All that is being exposed by the everything that's going on right now.
So, IQ, can you hear us, sir? Are you there?
I'm here. I sent you an email yesterday, you remember?
Yes, yes, I
And
did.
in the email yesterday, I predicted that on Tuesday, which is today, that Trump will start action against Iran. I was the only one who ever said that. The only one. Nobody predicted this. I said it, and it's in the email. It says Tuesday. The decision will be made Tuesday. And today, Trump said to the Iranian people, continue in your wonderful uprising, and I am with you, and very soon. I believe within the next 2 days, 3 days, the Iranians will suffer, the Iranian regime will suffer catastrophic failures. The American Air Force will go, and most probably in tandem with the Israeli ones. They have already selected the targets. All they have to do is finish the job. Frank, what do you think?
No, I think you're right on point. The question is, and interesting, it's a political question as opposed to a military question. This is clearly the right thing to do. But it seems that portions of the American left, particularly the Democratic Party, will portray this as a return to Western imperialism, that we are somehow intervening in the internal affairs of another nation, and they'll condemn it right, left, and center. But the fact of the matter is, it's the right thing to do. And I think the Trump administration has the guts and the capability of doing just that.
By the way, 90% of the ones who are revolting in Iran, they want the Shah back. Javid Shah, Javid Shah. That's what they're shouting. In the Persian language, long live the Shah, long live the Shah. So what the Democrats are saying, which is up their backside as usual, because they have no idea what to do. These people will be westernized in 1 year. In 1 year, they will be westernized because they were Western, as you said, under the Shah. They had 1 million students. The Shah had 1 million students studying in the Western world, and they betrayed him. It was the students who betrayed him. Why? Because the Communist Party, not only in Iran, but in all the universities, incited them that the Shah was corrupt. What they got was 1,000 times more corrupt with the Ayatollahs.
So Dan,
Yes, sir.
what, sir? Who walked in behind me? So we got Frank's take on Iran and IQs. Well, what is your take on things?
Well, we've been down this path sort of 2 times in the past,
Yeah.
and the regime always seems to be able to quelch the revolution. I read recently something that I'm glad you're on, Ike, because I wanted to ask you. I read this article written by a college professor who was looking at what's going on, and he said that in reading the Quran, what the Ayatollah is doing is he is not only the religious leader of the country, he is also the governing power, but he also has the responsibility of defending the Quran. And he can use under Sharia law, this professor is saying, he can use anything he chooses to, including murder and arrest and imprisonment and everything else, whatever he thinks is necessary to protect the Quran. And I had never heard that before. But it seems as if this current uprising is a much broader in terms of where it's happening than the previous two. So how soon, if the Ayatollah is going to fall, will it take America's aircraft to do that, or will these protesters turn the police or the army against the Ayatollah and take over?
To Dan's point, I think it's a fascinating one. And by the way, Dan, it is great to see you again. It's been far too long.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thank you, Frank.
We take the example of what happened in Russia in World War I. I think one of the key points will be whether any elements of force, whether it be IRGC or the Iranian army, whether at some point they decide to not turn their guns on the protesters and instead do what the Russian army did back in World War I, which is basically turn in favor of what was then the new regime coming in. That is going to be a key point. What we don't want to see is a slaughter in the streets of Iran. And clearly the depraved perspective of the Islamists who run Iran is that I don't think they'd care about a body count. Now, we in the West will care about it. I don't know whether the leadership in Iran gives a darn. about whether their forces start shooting people indiscriminately in the streets. Right now, if there was somehow magically an election, um, clearly, the forces for the West would be 85% against the 15%, if even that, would favor the current regime. But you get back to the question is, will that 15%, since they're the guys with the guns, how brutal are they willing to be? And that's where we stand at this point. The role of the United States will be, will they say, as Trump has said, that don't do that? If you start to turn against your own people, you'll also have to face the might of the United States and perhaps the European powers as well. That's where this whole issue dissolves into.
Yeah,
By
I
the way,
was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
the
IQ.
reports from Iran, which I'm monitoring all the time, 12,000 people have been arrested, 3,000 have been killed. 100 mosques have been destroyed, burned down to the ground. This is not just a small item. From the point of view of the Sharia, of the Islamic Sharia, they have to defend the Quran. I don't know why you didn't understand that. Their whole existence predicated on being the supporters of Muhammad and the Quran. There will be mass slaughter, not by the mullahs, but the mullahs will be the victims. There is a huge amount of vengeance at the moment in Iran, huge. These people have been literally brutalized for 47 years, and they've had enough. America will go in. Sorry,
IQ,
go
let
ahead.
me go back to my question and ask you again. If the Ayatollah is charged under the Quran to defend the Quran
Yeah,
and with any means necessary, including mass murder,
yeah.
there's no there doesn't am I wrong that there doesn't seem to be a reason why the Ayatollah cannot use the army to kill tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in order to defend the Quran? That's number one question. Number two, who's the likely successor?
Number one, they will do. Let me explain to you, which is the obvious thing that most Americans cannot fathom. Those who die in defense of the Quran go to paradise with the 72 virgins. I know it sounds stupid and silly to the Western mind, but in the mind of a Muslim who is a believer, this is the ultimate beauty. He will have unlimited sex, unlimited drink, unlimited food forever with 72 virgins. Who wouldn't die for that? I would die for that also. If it's true. If it's true, I would die for that. Good God. I mean, you can't have two women in life. You have 72 forever. Forget it. Anyway, this is what it is. The people who are going to take over will be the Shah, the son of the Shah. Everybody in Iran today, they're all shouting the same thing. Javid Shah, Javid Shah, Javid Shah. Why? Because he will be the only unifying power. He doesn't want to be the Shah. He told them. He said it publicly. He said, I will not want to be the Shah. All I want is to make everybody come together in a peaceful manner, create a system of democracy, elect a government, and I'm out. And this is exactly what he will do. He's not looking for...
You're saying he's only going to be a temporary figurehead for a while,
Yes.
while the government tries to figure out, or the people
Because there's
try
nobody else. There's nobody else. There's no unifying power in the whole of Iran. There isn't. You have the Baluchis. You have the Azaris. You have the Persians. You have the Arabs. You have the Kurds. It's fragmented. The only unifying power at the moment is the Shah's son, Reza Pahlavi.
And does he understand that, you think?
He knows, not understands. He's the one who's saying it. He's been saying it for months. I don't want to be the Shah. I just want to have an interim government, create a system whereby they have elections, and I'm out. I don't blame him. Oh, he will be a figurehead anyway.
So I guess from what I'm hearing you say, that he's looking to, when this thing is over. And now you said last week, IQ, you fully expected if the people overthrow the government, you suspected that there would be mass murder of the religious leaders, the imams.
No question about that one. I haven't changed my mind. You will find out. They are already killing, by the way, they are killing the IRGC using drones now. Who is supplying the drones? The Israeli Mossad in Iran. The same Mossad that attacked Iranian targets during the 12 days of the war in last June. The same. They're in Iran and they're supporting them.
So how much time do you think the existing Ayatollah has as head of the country?
Maximum Friday.
Friday?
Maximum Friday.
And what do you think the world leaders will think of Mr. Trump?
They don't give, who gives a damn what they think? Who gives a damn what they think, honestly? They are the last legs. What Trump will do,
IQ is
the Israelis, by the way,
is the distinguishing line between perhaps American air power being used in a very selective and strategic way, as opposed to anything resembling boots on the ground?
no boots on the ground. There will be no boots on the ground, not by Israel and not by America. There is no reason, none whatsoever. It is up to the Iranian people to do the job. All they need is help. And I sent a letter. The Israelis and the Americans should attack the prisoners, the prison camps, destroy the front of the prison camp. They might kill some prisoners, so bloody what? But at least they will release 10, 20,000 of them who were incarcerated. Attack the IRGC positions, each one. They know exactly where they are, by the way. The Israelis know exactly where each one of these places is. And the Americans don't get to do it on its own. They will do it with the F-35 of Israel. They were successful in the 12-day war. They will be successful in the next few days. And it will be either tonight or tomorrow. They will attack.
What
will
then
it
will
be-
the reaction of the current power structure be? Is are the mullahs going to Russia? Are they going to? Is there any geographical section of Iran where they feel they can retreat to and somehow hold on to at least a cornerstone of power someplace?
Already they $1 billion worth of money has left Iran already. They will go to Russia. They will not go anywhere in Iran. They have no space in Iran. They're finished. They know they're finished. That's why they're desperate. My worry is, and I said it before, they will unleash 500 ballistic missiles, not only against Israel, but against targets in American assets in the Gulf. It's a last desperate item. But I have absolutely no doubt that Saudi Arabia and Jordan have been already warned by Trump to expect and to intercept. And they will do that. They will do that. It will be the best thing for the whole world, not just the Middle East.
So are we going to see Friday the overthrow of the Ayatollah and the imams? Will we still have chaos on the streets, or will things calm down quickly?
No, it will come down soon because the Shah will go. He said the minute they are out and not in danger, he's not in danger, he will go directly to Iran.
But
He's in Paris. Is he still in Paris?
Sorry?
Is he still in Paris?
No, he's in America. What Paris?
I thought he was in Paris for a while.
No. As far as I know, he's the United States of America.
Okay.
He will
So
go.
what then occurs to the very strongly armed IRGC and other portions of the Iranian military? I mean, it's a little bit harder for them to just hop on a plane to Russia or someplace else. What happens to them? What do they do?
They will be exterminated. Sorry. This is a slaughter.
Exterminated, wouldn't that be kind of difficult? Because you have a very enthusiastic, a very dedicated civilian population, but an unarmed civilian population.
They will be armed. Do you know what they're doing now? But you see, you're not watching the programs from Iran. They are taking the guns from the IRGC. They are taking them and they're using them against them. And they are also attacking the police stations and taking their arms from there. They're attacking IRGC military installations and taking arms. No, they're not completely disarmed. They are armed. And most probably the Israelis have supplied them with something. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, it's not cut and dry like that. These people want to be free, and they have nothing to lose. They have not enough water. They have not enough food. They don't have enough money. They can't buy anything. They can't go to the bank. The AMTs are not working because the electricity is down. Internet is down. So they have nothing to lose.
On
Only
that
their
on that
life.
point you just brought up about water, we've been told that Tehran and some other cities within Iran are critically short of water, and that frankly the supplies might actually evaporate within the next. I don't mean evaporate in the technical sense, but not be available within the next couple of weeks. How do you get the water turned back on? How does that issue get addressed?
Well, this is another story. America will help. Believe me, it's not insurmountable. All they need is to have a peaceful transition without the Ayatollahs. They will slaughter them. There's no question they will slaughter them. Because they slaughtered enough people. They slaughtered over 100,000 people. In 47 years, they slaughtered over 100,000 people. They hanged young men by accusing them they are homosexual. They're not homosexual. They're anti the system. So they use Sharia as an excuse and they hang them. Young people, young men, they hang them. They murdered and raped women in the prisons. They don't deserve to live. Literally, they don't deserve to live. And they're not going to live. The point is, when will America attack? I honestly believe between now and Friday.
With
So
their
if
power, not boots on the ground.
No boots, definitely no boots. So there's no reason to have boots, for God's sake. Look what they did in the 12 days without boots. What did they do? They eliminated everything without boots. You don't need boots. America is not trying to invade. They're not trying to do a repeat of Iraq. Nothing to do with it. They will leave it to the Iranian people to judge and decide what to do with their government. That's it, which is the
and
best thing to do.
and IQ, what do you think America's role will be going forward after this coup? And them.
After the school, they'll expand the Abrahamic Accords. They will expand the Abrahamic Accords. And by the way, after Iran, Hamas will be finished completely.
Mhm.
There is no reason for them to exist. When Ayatollah is gone, Hamas has got nobody. Hezbollah has got nobody. No money, no political support, no economic support, nothing. They'll be dead. No, it's the best thing that happens in the Middle East. And by the way, Hezbollah was in Mexico. It's around the corner from you. They have enormous powers in Mexico. Hezbollah. The Shias.
I could
They're
have a sort of off-base question for you. One of the things that Putin has always been frightened of is the Islamicists within the borders, within the geographical borders of Russia, the Russian Confederation. How will that change? Now, we know that the mullahs focused their attention in terms of terrorism on the West. Absent the mullahs' influence in Iran, will the Islamicists within the geographical borders of Russia then feel more free to exercise against the Russian government?
They might, but also it can be another. This could be a detrimental item for them not to continue with Islamism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an awakening point, as you said. The collapse of the Soviet Union was monumental. This is going to be monumental also. Really monumental. Iran, if it was run properly, is a very rich, very powerful country. But it was decimated, it was destroyed. Why? Because the Ayatollahs have no brains. They're Muslims. They are theologians. They're not scientists. They're theologians. And theology does not save you.
So what the other thing that I've been thinking about is that, let's say about 4 weeks ago, there was a triumvirate of Iran, Venezuela, and Russia, who had over 1,000 tankers, ghost tankers, that were trading oil around the world to the tune of about 17% of the total world oil supply in production. Mr. Trump has taken over Venezuela, which is one third of it. Do you think Mr. Trump will have influence on the oil business in Iran?
100%. They will not be able to survive without Trump. Nobody in the Middle East will be able to survive without Trump. Nobody. Not Israel, not Iran, not anybody.
So
America today,
so you're saying that
America today is the power. That's it.
2/3 of the people that have been manipulating the oil markets will come under the control of Donald Trump's administration. And that only leaves Russia. And I don't know what they can do on their own.
Well, Russia is in trouble. It has been in trouble. And by not making peace with Ukraine, that's a huge mistake. Really, Putin should have listened to Trump, but he made a huge mistake by trying to be clever. He made a mistake, and he's going to pay for it. He's going to pay very badly for it, no question.
Okay.
Wrap up here with Frank Vernuccio. Frank, where can we see the TV show, hear the radio show, and follow everything that you're doing, my friend, now that you're back up and running?
If you're not in one of the 15 markets, our show is recorded on live on radio, rather. You can go to usagovpolicy.com.
Fantastic. Well, Frank,
it is great to see you all again. It's been too long.
I
look forward to next week.
You are back, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Good luck with everything, and we'll talk to you next week, Frank.
Take care, guys.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
You bet.
There he goes. That is Frank Vernuccio from USA Gov Policy, and joining us today is Dr. Colonel Josh McConkey, a Pulitzer Prize-nominated award-winning author of Be the Weight Behind the Spear. He's also a physician who has practiced medicine across the United States in some of the world's most dangerous hotspots. The good doctor brings a rare blend of frontline medical experience, academic leadership, and military service. He's the hat trick. He is the original hat trick, my friend. He has served as a professor at Duke University, currently commands the 459th Aeromedical Staging Squadron in the U.S. Air Force Reserves at Andrews Air Force Base. I hope that all fits on a business card. And with a career defined by service, leadership, and mission-driven excellence, the good doctor offers a powerful perspective shaped by experience where the stakes are the highest. And you can get more information, Josh McConkey for America.com. And the good doctor joins us today, along with our good friend Dan Perkins and the always interesting IQ Al Rizzoli. So let's start with Dan. Dan, I know you're going to have some questions here for Dr. Colonel. I don't know what to say. Dan, you jump in there. I'm happy we've got Josh with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You, Colonel, you probably came in just a little bit towards the end of the previous segment, and you maybe heard some of it. But maybe from your perspective, you can help us understand what you think is going on in Iran and Venezuela, and possibly in Russia, and how that's going to change what happens to the world over the next 3 years.
Boy, it's going to change significantly. So, I've attended the national security course there at National Defense University. Certainly, as a military commander, you stay very current on a lot of these things. I have now finished my command tour. I've just started doing emergency management for the Joint Task Force right there in the National Capital Region. So, really, a lot of eyes on the domestic issues right now. But watching to see what happened in Venezuela, having done some air assaults myself, I did one in Iraq in 2007, flying under night vision goggles at 3 o'clock in the morning, the precision that has to happen and the coordination. them doing that with 150 aircraft was mind-boggling. They literally had, I believe, just a total of 7 injuries, no loss of life, no loss of aircraft. That puts the world on notice because no one else on planet Earth can do that. And so now we've got everyone's attention. So you couple that with the nuclear strike at that facility in Iran. The world order is changing very quickly. The bad guys have taken notice. And 23 years of military service and having served in the Middle East, these bad guys only understand one thing. They understand one guy that'll punch them in the nose. You can't pacify them. The peace through strength is very real. And what we were able to accomplish in Venezuela puts everyone on notice. So it really, I think when you look at all the illegal oil that was going through Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, I think we've evened that playing field, and we're going to bring Venezuela back into the fold. We need a very strong security partner in that region, and we're in the process of doing that now.
You think, Colonel, that because of the relationship, the serious relationship between Venezuela and Cuba in supplying it crude oil to basically run its country, with that crude oil basically cut off, do you think Russia will come to the savior of Cuba and give them crude oil, or will they be interdicted by American task force, whether on sea or air, to keep it from getting to Cuba and starve them out?
So that's a very big question. That's something that the world will be watching over the next 6 to 12 months, is how aggressive does Russia want to be? We've played this game before, the 1960s, the entire Cold War for decades, and that reliance upon that Venezuelan oil. If we can topple that regime in Cuba, it will be one of the largest wins in the history of American foreign policy. It's something that American presidents have tried to do for 80 years now. I mean, close to 80 years. So, this is or at least 60 some years, but this is really big. And I think that wobbly domino in Cuba, if Russia doesn't get involved very aggressively, that is going to fall. That's a big win for foreign policy.
One of the things that, if you watch the news, and you pay attention to what's being said by the Trump administration and the Secretary of War, Pete, and other people, the message to me seems very clear from the Trump administration to the world in general. Don't mess with us. And all these things that they've done with the bombing of the nuclear facility, the raid in Yugoslavia or in Venezuela, and other things yet to come, are all sending messages that happened in less than 12 months. And I'm wondering whether or not the rest of the world is a true believer in what Trump is doing and are beginning to understand that you can't mess with America anymore. There will be retribution.
Yeah, so that statement, that extension of the Monroe Doctrine, there had been so much involvement with Russia, Iran, and China in Central America and South America. It was untenable. It was not acceptable to have them on our doorstep. They'd been using it to train gangs, and some of the Iranian, like Hezbollah, actually has some training facilities in Venezuela. That's right there on our back doorstep. It's a very short jump right into America, and then that completely unsecured border where they had 10 million, immigrants coming across there during the Biden administration. It was a very easy entrance for those gangs, and the new sheriff is in town, and the world takes note of that. We are in a much safer national security position right now.
Yeah, this next question isn't really directly about national security, but it really deals with what's going on internally primarily in blue states and blue cities, Minneapolis being one of them. This idea that came out of Virginia, I believe, over the weekend, which was criticized by Pritzker out of Chicago, the governor, that Americans should exercise their Second Amendment arm and be in a position to kill ICE officers. And he said that that was absolutely unacceptable. But we have a situation where the military seems to be getting good marks for what they're doing, but the country's not giving ICE and the police good marks. How do they change that? How do they change and start getting better marks?
Well, I think that's what some of the popular media would like you to believe, right? I think the majority of Americans are very much in support of our ICE agents and in support of immigration, you know, legal immigration. You cannot have illegal immigration. I've said for years now, if you cannot control who's coming into your country, you by fact do not have national security. I mean, this is common sense. This is an apolitical issue that I don't know how anyone could argue the other side of that. So you have to control who's coming into your country.
Right.
And for all of the different the left screaming and crying about the law that they tried to pass, some of the immigration reform, the border security bill that they had pushed through, they literally had tried to sneak that through, and then they blamed President Trump for that, on how he shot that down. They were basically trying to codify illegal immigration. Well, we'll let in 5,000 to 8,000, per day or per week, whatever the number was. It was insane. The number needs to be zero. You can't have illegal immigration and have national security. That's just a fact.
Right. So if we look at that situation, it would appear on the surface, at least at the moment, that the areas that are against the police and against Donald Trump tend to be blue states and blue cities, some of them within red states. How do the Republicans turn that around?
Well, the Democratic leaders in these blue cities, their policies are terrible. So they figured out very quickly that the only way they can maintain their power is to just import a bunch of voters. And you see the fraud in the thing that was happening in Minneapolis. As a really crazy story, Tim Walz was my teacher in high school. So he's from around the
amazing.
yeah, it's mind-boggling. So I've known the guy for 30 some years. Gosh, I graduated in 1996. He was my world geography teacher and my sociology teacher. It's a small school in western Nebraska. And when you see what they've done there, they basically imported 100,000 Somalis, just rampant fraud. How much did he know about it? I think to the level that it's rose to, like the billions of dollars. Man, you have a really hard argument that this isn't some type of criminal activity, to be honest with you.
Right.
But they figured
Right.
the only way that they can win is to just import voters illegally if they need to, because the majority of just sane human beings and Americans just see through the ridiculousness. They're bad policies. They are not winning policies. So the only way they maintain power is to bring in those illegal immigrants.
Colonel, take a moment, if you would, and tell us about your book.
Oh, thank you. So, be the weight behind the spear. That's my personal leadership ethos. So, as a military commander, as an emergency physician, I saw just during, COVID, the COVID generation. So that last half of Gen Z were really impacted, as the entire country was. But when you take a whole generation of Americans, you shut them out of school, in their churches, in their communities, and then you burn businesses to the ground. It's bad policy. And so as a result, those individuals there's a huge mental health crisis. And as an emergency doctor, I see the anxiety, the depression, unfortunately, a lot of suicides. And as a military commander, wow, this is just a generation that struggles with basic communication and leadership and resilience because of that, because they were shut in their houses for a couple of years at a time. So this book is my call to action to use our best resource in this country, and that's people. Teachers, coaches, volunteers, families, that's what sets America apart. I want them to get involved in their community and help this generation, help teach them those leadership skills. Coach, volunteer, get involved in your church, anything to help this next generation, because we all need them to be successful.
Colonel, there are some people myself being one of those people, who believe that the decision of the Biden administration in closing the public schools, for some cases as much as 2 years, that generation coming through the school system will never recover. Will never recover.
You know,
And there are some people, again, myself included, who believe that during the pandemic, that singular event caused young people of high school and college age to abandon the Democratic Party. Because if you were a junior or a senior during the pandemic, you never got to go to a junior senior prom. You never had a graduation ceremony. If you were a junior or a senior in college, you never had a graduation ceremony. You never had your family see you get that certificate that says you completed your bachelor's degree or master's or whatever. And those life-changing events, they didn't get. And there's a recent study that's talking about how the generation that went through the pandemic still is suffering in test scores and reading scores and math scores. They're not making up any ground. What do we do about those children? What do we do about those
right
kids?
here, right here in North Carolina, when you look at those test scores, you look at that group of individuals, you look at math and reading, math alone, less than 25% of North Carolina students are at grade level for math. Reading is a touch higher than that, but that is absolutely shocking. My wife is a teacher. My mom is a teacher. You know, when you see my kids, I've put them in a private school because it was just, unfortunately, those types of issues are very hard to overcome. And I don't feel like the generation is lost. I mean, there is hope, but we have a tremendous amount of work to do.
Right.
And I'll tell you, as a commander, just that group of individuals, I vastly underestimated how much trouble they're in until I took command and was working with those 18 to 25-year-old kids on a very regular basis and just seeing what they're dealing with and the mental health issues. And wow, it's scary. I mean, it's very scary. That's one of the reasons I wrote the book. And I'll tell you that concern that you have is very valid.
Colonel, one last question for me, and then I'll turn it over to Jim and IQ. And that is, we have a situation where we spoke about this a few moments ago, about the reputation of the American military is growing based on the activities and the planning and execution that we have. But as a person involved actively with the military, what's happening to the quality of people that are coming in the door?
Ooh, it is getting much better very quickly. And I'll tell you a story. During 2023, I led a big national exercise up in the Pacific Northwest, and it was military, Department of Defense, National Defense, national. There was there's a medical disaster team, the State Department, VA hospitals, and community hospitals. Huge exercise. It was testing our capability to deal with casualties from the Pacific Theater. It was called Ultimate Caduceus was the name of that. And as the commander, we did great, had a wonderful team, did one interview for the local affiliate for NBC. And I had a meeting with the press team the night before my interview. They gave me, it was a 4-page document of things I could not talk about. The Biden administration would not let me say the word China. So I couldn't talk about China. I couldn't infer that there was anything with China. So this exercise is clearly in response to Chinese aggression in Taiwan. There's no question about it. And so the very first question from NBC, sure as, Colonel McConkey, is this exercise in response to, some of this activity in Taiwan? And I could not say the word China. It was the most ridiculous thing I have seen in 23 years. And when you would see the recruiting numbers dropping so precipitously with all the ridiculous things that the military had been, focusing on during that Biden administration. I believe in the Constitution. I follow orders. I disagreed quite a lot with the Biden administration, but I follow orders. And you could see a night and day difference with the Trump administration, and that's reflected in recruiting numbers, just fantastic individuals that want to serve their country for the right reasons. And when Secretary Hegseth, in Department of War, back to Department of War again, we're about delivering lethality and protecting this nation. And if what you're asking us to do with all these little silly, ridiculous things the Biden administration was doing, if that's not helping us defend this nation and deliver lethality, then you're wasting our time. You know, we're held to a higher standard than the general population. I take great pride in wearing the uniform, and we're getting back to a very good place. I'm proud to serve.
So I didn't like to, you just raised an issue that I wanted to talk about, so I'll just ask one more. So I apologize, Jim.
Oh,
No,
sure.
you're good, baby. That's why we're here. That's why we're
Yeah.
here.
The Secretary of War has decided that he's going to bring under review General Kelly's comments about instructing, it wasn't the rank and file, it was the flag officers to disobey an order if they thought it was illegal. What do you think about what they were doing, and their counterparts were trying to convince people in the military to disagree with Donald Trump? And number two, what kind of punishment should General Kelly have?
Well, that seditious six, not in my lifetime have I ever seen sitting members in Congress talking to members of the military to disobey orders. It was the most ridiculous and inappropriate thing I've ever seen. As far as, you know, punishment for that, I mean, can you imagine, like, during the Vietnam War, everything's so politically charged, if members of Congress were actually telling members of the military to disobey orders? I mean, just what type of chaos that would have caused. There was enough chaos going on anyways. So I've never seen anything like that. As far as, you know, punishment for that, you know, that's certainly up to the Department of War, and I'm sure the president has some concerns and things he's chatted about as well. But, you know, it's sedition. I mean, I don't know any other way to put that. It was so inappropriate. There should be some repercussions. I don't know enough about that as far as the Universal Code of Military Justice, if there's anything in there, how that's treated for retired members. But I mean, he gets a paycheck, he gets a pension for being in the military. There probably should be some repercussions there.
Thank you. Jim?
So, Doctor, what do you think about the Venezuela situation?
Yeah, well, I have lots to say on it. I mean, do you have anything specific you want to discuss?
No, we're looking for you to educate us because you've been in and around all the various things. So
Yeah,
give us your take on this, and I'm sure Dan and IQ and I will have some questions for you.
Oh yeah, you know, I have not been to Venezuela, but I served in a squadron that did a lot of the drug interdiction. The 77th Air Refueling Squadron. So they were down there a lot, and always some wild stories carrying pallets of cocaine, a lot of CIA, FBI, secret squirrel people around all the time in the aircraft. I was a flight surgeon, so got to fly with those air crews, and every once in a while you'd see a big pallet of drugs heading down to the Caribbean. You're like, hey, don't ask any questions. You know, it just I didn't have the clearance to ask those types of questions at that time. But you know, it was clearly a threat. Over the last 25 years with that regime, 3,000 political prisoners in opposition that were murdered, 8 million people, you know, fleeing the country, huge humanitarian crisis. And so for all the ridiculousness that the left is whining about now, this is exactly what needed to happen. So when you talk about creating stability in Central and South America, that's our hemisphere, that is our backyard. You know, why were they leaving? You had 8 million people. So you address right there. You know, I think if we can get a stable government in place, a democratic government, you know, they won't need to leave Venezuela, and then we can see them prosper, make money off their oil. I think it was at less than 10% capacity from what it was before he took over and you know, took all those resources and, you know, from the United States companies there. But it's like he was running it into the ground on purpose. And then with all the Chinese, Iranian, and Russian influence, I said earlier, it's just completely untenable. So, you know, this is going to help create a brighter future for Venezuelans, something they can be proud of and build. And that's, I hope in the future, in the very near future, there'll be a very strong security partner for us in that region on our war on drugs and national security. There's so many things that we'll see that come into play, the second and third order effects here over the next few years to a decade.
So IQ, listening to all this, do you have any questions for the doctor?
Yeah. First question. The flag on your T-shirt, is that Iraq?
Oh, my Oh, that's on this one here. I'm not sure that that's a logo for whatever company made the shirt. Oh my gosh.
Tommy Hilfiger.
It looks like an Iraqi flag.
The things that IQ notices.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Tommy Hilfiger or something. I think
It looks,
It
yeah,
is Tommy
honestly, it looks.
Hilfiger.
yeah, it's a sweater,
Now,
man. I don't pay any attention.
the other question is this. I have absolutely no doubt that America will start the war against Iran tonight or tomorrow. There's no question. In my mind, anyway. That's my mind. And I said to James and to Dan, by Friday, the war will be over.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I have zero doubt, knowing our military capabilities and what we have already demonstrated in Iran, that should they choose to take some of that action, I don't believe it will last very long either. I certainly can't confirm or deny anything being planned or going on, but I do know that what I've followed, I think, is the death count up to 2,000 people now for the
Over
protesters.
3,000 now.
Oh, that's horrific. That is
Over
absolutely
3,000
horrific.
now came from Iran.
So, something needs to be done, clearly. You can't just watch them butcher their own people like that. The protesters, so should they choose to take action there? I think it'll probably be very decisive. It will be very quick and very incapacitating. We're not here to mess around. This is kind of one of those FAFO type of things. And
Right.
if it does happen, I think it will be very quick.
We agree. That's it. That's all I wanted to know. Because you are a military expert, so I'm not a military expert. I'm not in the army. But
So,
I'll tell you what, I have applied for a green card. I paid for it, and I'm legal. So when somebody comes to me against me from the left and speaks about illegals, they better not open their mouth because there will be no teeth left. And
Yeah,
I mean it,
just
I mean it physically. I will destroy them physically. I have no problem with that. I spent 3 years and $7,000 to get my green card. Legal, everything legal.
yeah, nobody likes people jumping into line. If you're chilling at Costco,
No,
you're
I
chilling
won't
there
allow
getting
it. I
gas.
will not allow it. It's impossible. I will not allow it. It's not psychologically only. It's a matter of fairness.
Yeah.
First come, first served. Stay in line. You jump in the line, I'll break you. No problem.
always love IQ. Now, Doctor, something else that talking about the Venezuela thing. I get it. There was a lot of people that were mad that they went in and grabbed Maduro and all the various stuff. But the thing that gets me is that whole military operation was just amazing. They went in, they grabbed the guy, nobody died.
Yeah, I was listening to a special operator
about all this? Because
I was listening to a special operator podcast, and he was so jealous, like that professional jealousy, the things that you dream about, taking very bad dude under the cover of darkness, throwing a black bag over his head and dragging him out of the country. I mean, it's like a TV movie.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have done one air assault in Iraq, and the coordination and the planning and the training is so important. You had 150 aircraft. I don't know if anyone can really wrap their minds around that, but with our air assault, it might have been 30, 40, 50 aircraft. I'm not sure, but every inch of airspace needs to be very closely paid attention to. So for us, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. We have night vision goggles. And we got some last second intel. We had 45 Cav guys in the back of a Chinook helicopter. We're dropping them in. They're going to pick up a really bad dude and lay some waste, picking up some insurgent leadership. And tracer fire starts going off. We get this last second intel. It's like, hey, there's an anti-aircraft weapon due east of this landing zone. And immediately my mind about imploded because the whole planning, we had to leave this LZ at a 090 heading due east. This is when they were shooting down aircraft. So they shot down 8 aircraft in a 2-week span. I think about a week or two before I got there, they killed a flight surgeon doing exactly what I was doing. His name was Colonel Allgood. And I was reasonably assured that we were probably going to be aircraft number 9. But you have to. You can't deviate from the plan. You can't move. There's aircraft all around you. If you don't follow that plan, you're going to take down other aircraft with you. So we flew over that, and the guys on the ground got to that anti-aircraft weapon before we got up. And man, I mean, just scary. You see your life flash in front of your eyes. And so for those 200 plus individuals and those 150 aircraft to pull that out with just absolute surgical precision that no one else on planet Earth can do, it's very, very impressive. I don't think people understand that, because you see some of these trolls on social media is like, oh, well, it was only Venezuela. I was like, this isn't the movies, man. This is a foreign country that's armed, that had Cuban security, and to pull all of that off without one loss of aircraft or loss of life is
Man,
amazing.
that was just amazing.
Yeah.
So, Colonel, I know we're almost out of time, but let me ask you one question about what you just said. Why do you do this?
Why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, it keeps me busy. The book, the speaking engagements. Once you've carried the body bags of American heroes, man, I'll tell you, it's heavy. I flew medevac, and it's emotionally heavy. It's physically heavy. When you see men and women pay that ultimate sacrifice, and you come home, you're not the same person. I wake up every single morning just so blessed and happy. I got a beautiful wife, 3 children, and I think about those men and women that don't have that opportunity and they're no longer with us. And so I wake up every single morning making sure what I do every single day makes their sacrifice worth it. And I will fight to the death for that. So I've just seen a lot of death and destruction. It just puts things into perspective. This is the best country on the planet, and those men and women gave everything. So I have to. I'm just wired that way.
Thank you.
That is amazing. So we have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. So as we wrap up here with you, Doctor, where can people buy your book and get involved with everything you're doing online?
Well, thank you very much. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you go to waitbehindthespear.com, WEIGHT, waitbehindthespear.com, you can learn more. And on Instagram, it's Josh McConkey, MD. On X, it's McConkey 007. I'm a James Bond fan.
That's fantastic. That's a great Twitter name, baby. So, Doctor, why did you decide to write this book?
It was in response to what I was seeing. I see, gosh, I'm telling you, sit down with a family, this whole generational crisis, the mental health issue, it's not just statistics. This is somebody's kid. These are families. And you sit down and you cry with those families. I've done it countless times now, that I can either go to work and I can keep doing the same thing, beating my head against the wall over and over and over, or get involved, writing the book, actually running for office, North Carolina lieutenant governor here. So, winners make policy. And right now we don't have the right people making that policy. So we're going to do something about that.
You're running for office?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. About bloody time, too.
Yeah. Hey,
About
I
We
tell you,
need people like you.
yeah. Well, thank you. I need
No,
help
honestly,
on that.
that's exactly what America needs.
Yeah,
People
it's a team
who were
sport.
in the armed forces, who know what the risks are, who know what patriotism is, and go for it. Unbelievable. Congratulations.
Thank you. And if you guys want to join the team, strongernc.com. We are stronger together. It's a team sport. I do need you.
100%.
Well, we definitely want you
100%.
back,
I promise you.
to get more into the local side of things, because I think that would be a fun conversation. So let's start with IQ Al Rassooli. IQ, how do we get your books and everything that you're involved in, my friend?
Well, my books are a trilogy about Islam, Lifting the Veil, the True Faces of Muhammad and Islam. And there is no apologies in it. It's 100% correct. We have been trying for 14 years to get an imam to debate me. Nobody wants to come. I have $1.5 million worth of challenges for every human being to prove me wrong. I haven't lost a dime. So we are on the same wavelength.
So
And
Dan,
your commentaries, IQ, where are your commentaries?
yes.
My commentaries are on America Out Loud -home or -news. America Out Loud, 1,400 to 1,500 articles. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
They are quite intense, I will have to say. So Dan, how do we get involved with everything you're doing, my friend?
Well, the books are available at Amazon, Barnes Noble, or through your local bookstore. Current book is Sad Eyes, a story about a nurse in World War II. I'm working on my Irish memoir, and that's coming along. We're working with Sheriff Mack on the book on violence in the Democratic Party, songs and stories for soldiers. Uh, Still actively involved in treating veterans with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, sleep deprivation, and suicide prevention. And doing radio shows and television shows. The radios are on AMM 24/7. The television shows are on Your News and other outlets. So if you go to Dan Perkins Media, you can find out where all the stuff is. And as always, thanks for having me on. And General, thank you for your service. And or excuse me, Colonel. Colonel. I didn't promote. I didn't mean to promote you. Thank you, Colonel. I'm an infantry grunt, so I don't know all the fancy titles.
Well, IQ Dan, I will talk to IQ on Thursday. Dan, I will talk to you next week.